Hello, my name is Rachel and I'm here today to film my reading wrap up for February 2017. I've read a lot of books from different genres this month, which I'm really happy about. Read some non-fiction, which I'm really trying to push with this year, so I'm very happy with that. And yeah, I've got some low down ratings, about 2 stars, and then got a lot of high 5 stars as well, so I'm quite happy about that. So yeah, I'm just going to run right into it. So the first thing I read this month was a 2 star. I go in order of my lowest highest ratings, so I'm going to start with the 2 stars, and there were 2 of these. And the first one is Dan and Sam. This is a graphic novel by Mark Watson and Oliver Harrod. This is about a man and his wife dies, and they are like everything to each other. They are each other's life, and he has no idea how he's going to live without her. And basically, she can come back one day a year on the day that she died, as long as he is still in love with her, which he finds very easy at first, but obviously things are going to challenge that because it's a story. I found that I didn't connect to any characters in this story. I like the idea, that's why I gave it 2 stars. I thought it was a nice idea. I thought the twist in it was daft. The artwork really bothered me because it was quite nice. So it's kind of like this, and whenever he's with the woman who was his wife, there's colour, and whenever he's not with her, it's black and white. And quite like that. But what really bothered me about it is the woman who's his wife, if you look at her here, she looks completely different to how she looks here. And then if you look at her through the novel, she looks completely different as well. And I just think there was like a real lack of consistency that bothered me when I was reading the graphic novel. Like, I was literally on like the second and third page, like, she looks different than she looked a page ago. And that's just not right. I just don't think you should feel that about a graphic novel. So that really bothered me, and yeah, wasn't a big fan of this one. And then my other 2 star was Dreaming the Bear by Mimi Thibault. I read this for the book club at the school that I work at, and I thought this was a nice idea, but I like, nothing was driving me to pick it up. It took me ages to actually read it because I was just finding it dragging, a bit boring. There were parts that I was like, this is actually alright, which is making me think that I should have given this 1 star because this was a lot worse than this. So maybe this is a 1 star and this is a 2 star. This is basically about a girl, her and her family move away, but she finds this bear and she like cuddles with the bear and stuff like that in this cave, and then goes back home and lives her normal life, and it's about her and this connection with the bear basically. And it did bother me, and I thought of the girls that were reading it, because I work at a girls' school. I thought of the girls reading it for the book club, and I thought I wouldn't want them to see this as someone they should be like, because she was a similar age. So yeah, 2 stars for that one, unfortunately. Then for Cozy Reading Night, I read Stardust Nation by Deborah Levy and Andrei Klimovsky. On my wrap up for that, I said that I wasn't sure what I would give this star rating wise, and since then I think I've come to around a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think it was long enough for the kind of issues that it was tackling. I think it would have been good if it had more time, more pages. And yeah, this is basically about a man who is an alcoholic, and he works in a job he doesn't really seem that fond of, and there's another man who he works with who's his friend, and he picks up other people's illnesses and basically starts to pick up some of the main character's illnesses or his past and memories and things like that. Very, very strange, and I did enjoy it, but there was something missing for me, and I really thought that they were trying to like make a massive point about mental illness, but they had so few pages that it just couldn't be done successfully. Then I read a fantastic book that I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and that was The Trouble with Women by Jackie Fleming. Now this is a really nice copy, like hardback, lovely, and this is basically a cartoon drawn look at myths about women through history and like how women have been treated. It's illustrated throughout, as you can see, with little facts. This was brilliant because it was so infuriating. And the only reason I didn't give it 5 is because it was highlighting all these problems, but it didn't have any like thing at the end for kind of trying to get to solutions and things like that, which I think in books like this is what you really, really need. So yeah, 4 out of 5 is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. So I gave this 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed this. This follows a family through its generations for around 250 years, I think. It follows their family tree as it trickles down for these years and how they are treated. And it basically starts with Afia and Essie, and it follows they are the 2 children, and then it follows their line of descendants down. There was stuff in here that I didn't know that I just found fascinating, and I found it really interesting. Like, I went to a talk by Yaa Gyasi in Manchester, and she like did a book signing and a talk, and she was talking about how she made a distinction between the different generations, because obviously one's Afia's family and one Essie's family, so it would switch between the descendants like that. And so she said that to kind of have a running theme throughout, she had one of the sisters as fire ran through, and everyone was connected to fire in some way. Everyone's story mentioned fire in some way. And then on the other side of it, she had water, and water was always mentioned and stuff like that. So you have people on boats going over to be sold as slaves and things like that. And just there's a lot of different stuff with water. And then on the fire side, you have huts being burned, people being burned, you have miners, you have lots of different things. So I thought that was a really nice idea, a really good way of tying in as well, because I found that when I was reading it, I was trying to remember where they came in the last story, and I found it a lot easier because if I identified the fire or the water, I'd be like, oh right, so they're on that side, so they must be that person's son or daughter. So yeah, really enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to do a full-length review on this and talk about what Yaa Gyasi talked about at that evening as well, to try and give people some insight into the novel, because she gave some fantastic insights. So yeah, definitely would say go and pick this up. It's absolutely beautiful and just a really powerful and interesting read. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 stars. The Tales of Beedle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. This I've never read before and always wanted to, and I picked up a copy in December, I think it was, and decided to give it a read because I have been rereading the Harry Potter books, the 5th, the 2nd, the 1st, read them in weird order, and I've reread the 6th one this month as well. That's going to be the next one, just for a spoiler. And I wanted to read this before I reread the last book, so that when they talk about the 3 brothers and they talk about Beedle the Bard, like I actually know what they're talking about and I've actually read what they're talking about. So I absolutely adored this. It was so cute, and I really liked how after every one of the stories they had a notes section afterwards. They were like Albus Dumbledore's notes throughout, and like Hermione Granger's the one who's supposed to have like translated it and edited it, and like yeah, just all that sort of stuff really makes me happy. And I really enjoyed this. I thought it was fantastic, and yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. And then, as I said, next 5 out of 5 stars is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Obviously a reread, and obviously 5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed this. Found it a lot funnier than I can remember. I found the end, like, because I haven't reread this in ages, the last 2, like the last one I reread 8 times because I kept a little tally in the front, but that was in the first year that it came out. So I've not reread the last ones in quite a while. And if you watch the films, obviously at the end the Death Eaters break into Hogwarts and they go and there's the whole horrible death. And then they leave and Harry chases them, but there's not really anyone around. Whereas in this, Dumbledore's army are all there, and there's like Tonks is there, Lupin is there, I think, there's tons of people from the Order there, and they're all fighting as well. So I really liked that. It was kind of like a foreshadowing for the Battle of Hogwarts, which I just had completely forgotten about because of the movies. I think the movies kind of remove stuff from your mind sometimes. So really enjoyed that. This was a fantastic reread for me, and I'm definitely looking to reread the last one either this month or next month. I'm not sure yet. And then the next one is my Roald Dahl book for the month. So if you've been watching my channel, you will know that I've been trying to read a Roald Dahl book every month because on Roald Dahl Day last year I kind of realised I hadn't read many Roald Dahls. It's Matilda. I've been watching the film since I was very, very young, but just never actually read it. So I listened to the audiobook, which is by Kate Winslet, and she is just absolutely fantastic. She has the perfect cute voice for Matilda as well, which I loved. And yeah, I've just really, really enjoyed reading this. It was quite nice because when I used to watch the film, obviously I was really young, so like when Matilda was reading all these books, I'd be like, oh, that's impressive because she's quite young. But now, when she's reading like Charles Dickens at 5, you're like, I actually understand that that's ridiculous. So it was quite nice to read now, and yeah, absolutely loved it. This is definitely my favourite of the ones I've read so far, and my favourite Roald Dahl book from when I was a child has been Fantastic Mr. Fox, and this is definitely on par with it. So I'm really, really happy that I read this one. Then next I read We Should All Be Feminist by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this is basically just a like written version of the TED Talk that she did. She is from Nigeria, and she talks about how feminism is very much something that is still needing to be fought for in Nigeria. And I think it was quite nice because I think people nowadays make the argument that, oh, feminism, we don't need it anymore, people have equal rights, and they don't, obviously. But I think this is the kind of thing where, like, when you start to identify to people, well, this is why we don't have equal rights, this is why we don't, this is a country that doesn't, I think it gives people much more of a like solid reason to fight for something. So yeah, I absolutely adored this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's just the perfect size to kind of introduce people to feminism and the ideas behind feminism and why it's important. So I just thought it was perfect, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And I just want to read you an amazing quote from it. Culture does not make people. People make culture. If it is true that the full humanity of women is not our culture, then we can and must make it our culture. And I think that's just a perfect way to sum up feminism for me. So yeah, absolutely adored that. The final book I finished this month was The Good Immigrant by Nikesh Shukla, well, edited by Nikesh Shukla, and this has a lot of different authors involved in it. I did a review for this that will be going up in the next few days, so I'm not going to talk that much about it, but I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely phenomenal, a must read for anyone. I just think it's so important. This is basically 21 people from the UK, but immigrants to the UK, so either they've moved here or their parents have moved here, that sort of thing, and they're talking about what it's like to be an immigrant in the UK today. Every single essay in here was just perfectly written and perfectly explained what the author wanted to explain, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So I would definitely recommend picking this one up. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked any of the books I didn't like, or yeah, just disagreed with me in general, please let me know down below and we can have a talk about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!